Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my talk. This is 19 common copywriting mistakes that might accidentally kill your landing page conversions. So, let's get started. My name is Daniel Doan, and I have over 10 years of expertise writing high converting copy for the largest B2B companies in America. I have over 1,100 successful projects. So, this is sales pages, landing pages, ads, and email nurture sequences. And I've worked with over 224 clients. Some of the biggest CEOs and marketing executives rely on me for higher converting copy. So, let's try to avoid the following mistakes that I will lay out for you in the upcoming slides. Now, making a few of these mistakes might be okay, but if you make too many of these, you'll be destroying your conversions and wasting a lot of your marketing dollars. So let's get started. So the first one is lack of credibility. Lack of credibility is a big deal when it comes to your conversion rates. You need to reassure your prospects that your offer will deliver. To do this, create more proof, showcase your testimonials, and demonstrate the value in a more direct and visual way in your copy. So notice here, the bad example lists off the things people want out of their candles, but doesn't say how it's made possible, which makes it quite frankly hard to believe. Now, in the better example, the how behind the benefit is explained. And there's also social proof that makes the copy much, much more credible. The next common copywriting mistake is having a difficult transformation. So if your copy makes your offer sound hard, your prospect will feel that moving forward is a painful process. To fix this, future pace their success and use words that reassure prospects that the offer is easy. So notice in the bad copy example, things are just kind of listed off, right? It resembles a long to-do list. And the improved example, everything's framed in a way that makes things sound easy, easy, exciting and transformative for the prospect. It's copy that people actually want to read, which makes it convert better. Okay, and the next one is not conversational. So if your copy reads super dry and super stiff, your prospects are going to fall asleep. In order to fix this, read it out loud, use transitory phrases, and make the writing sound as human as possible. Now, in the bad examples, the sentences are choppy, and it makes it come off like a robot wrote it. Meanwhile, in the better example, everything reads super smooth, like butter. It's relatable and human, which of course grips your prospects' attention and engages them. The next copywriting mistake is being overly selfish. So if your copy focuses too much on you too much, it's not good. You need to dig deep into the psychographics of your prospects and get into their heads to find the right benefits to go after. And let's not be overly selfish in our copy. Your offer isn't about you, it's about them, right? So what do they get out of it? And that's why the better example here focuses on them. Real transformation and real benefits without being selfish. Okay, the next copywriting mistake is too much jargon. So if your copy uses way too much jargon and assumes that your prospect knows way too much, it might fly over their heads. To fix this, you must simplify your writing and use more analogies to help clarify what you mean. If you can't say it confidently, don't use it in your copy. Now, notice the better example actually translates complex words and makes them more human, right? But we don't want to intimidate the target persona with our copy. The next one is not enough benefits. If your copy doesn't contain enough benefits, it's going to miss the mark. To fix this, interview more of your customers to find the right angles of attack, and then strategically deploy them in your copy, right? Stack benefits and gradually build a web of benefits that your prospects cannot resist. Now, present more benefits and present them in a meaningful and specific way. For instance, the better example here focuses on what that means in a real life setting, like dropping it from 6 feet or fighting climate change, right? It makes the product genuinely interesting. Next mistake, speaks too broadly. If your copy speaks too broadly and talks to too many people at once, it'll put off your prospects. You need to frame the copy and speak to one person, not many. Also, you need to call up the prospect early on in order to grab their attention as soon as possible. Now, notice in the bad example, none of the copy sounds specific. It's just generalized. But in the better example, notice how the messaging hits upon a very specific pain. The copy is now much more emotional and, quite frankly, sounds a lot better. Next, weak hooks. So if your copywriting doesn't do a good job of grabbing attention, your copy is going to miss the mark. You need to open with a powerful benefit that's worded in a new way, or you need to tease a unique mechanism and open a strong curiosity loop. Now, most hooks are usually terrible the first time that you write them. So after you write a hook, just walk away and come back later on it to iterate. Hooks should immediately grab attention or cause the reader to do a double take, and then quickly transition into the prospect's headspace. Okay, next, not enough value. So if your copy doesn't generate enough desire for your offer, it won't seem valuable. In order to fix this, you need to make sure your prospects feel like they're getting a good deal. Position the offer for the right person and make it known that they're getting much more than what they're paying. So in the bad example, it just talks about books, but there's not enough value there. Now in the better example, people get to dive deeper into what they want. They get gifts, they're reminded of the benefits, and there's real value that appeals to the audience. Next, unclear sentiments. So if your copy contains unclear sentiments, it's going to confuse and bog down your prospects. To fix this, you need to read your copy through the lens of your prospect. And it also helps to get another person to review your copy, as we're usually too close to our own work. So here, the bad example reads like three totally different messages, right? Followed by some pushiness. If someone reads that, they're probably not going to convert. To fix this, try breaking up ideas that don't flow well together. It's going to clear up your messaging and make things flow. Next, droning sentences. So if your copy drones on and on and on and contains too many sentences with a similar length, it'll bore your prospects. Mix in shorter sentences with longer ones, and try to create more emotional pull. It'll also be stronger if you can lead off sections with emotion and then end with emotion as well. So here, the bad example is just a bunch of factual, uninspired sentences, right? They don't pull readers in at all. But in the better example, two of these ideas get combined. The lingering one is left alone, and then a new sentence comes in to tie the messaging together. Next is totally relevant benefits. If your benefits aren't completely relevant to your prospect, they might tune you out. You need to find all the right benefits that your prospect generally wants and cares about, and then front load the strongest benefit in your copy. So sometimes a benefit isn't exactly the quote unquote benefit that your customers want. For instance, in the bad example, the benefit doesn't hit the mark. While sustainable clothing is good here, it doesn't necessarily convey a good sense of practical benefits for the prospect, meaning that it might not be the right benefit for the context. Okay, next one is accidentally insulting. So if your copy accidentally insults your prospect, chances are it's probably not going to convert. Try to locate and remove wrong assumptions about your prospect in order to better align with them. Because the last thing you want to do is accidentally insult them by making incorrect assumptions. So no one likes being told that they're the problem, right? So instead, try a softer approach rooted in truth. The better copy here helps them learn something new, delivers ample proof, and frames the solution differently. It's approachable, friendly, and most importantly, not insulting. Next one is lack of urgency. If your copy doesn't convey a sense of urgency, it's not going to be effective. You have to bring to light a real sense of urgency to make sure your prospect knows the benefits of acting now, as well as the drawbacks or potential drawbacks of waiting later. So, and the bad example here, notice that there's no sense of urgency whatsoever, like none. And the better example, you're reminded of a pain, a simple solution, and a brief reminder of what's to come once you press that call to action button. And there's a real incentive to act now, which is a lot better. Next is risky proposition. So if your prospect thinks that the next steps will be too risky, they won't take action. They'll be too worried. So make sure that the prospect feels comfortable and safe to take the next step, and try to remove as much risk and friction as possible from the call to action. Yeah, so de-risking an offer through copy is one of the best strategies. Why should they believe that your offer can help? Why should they believe that you're on their side? The better example here removes risk and reminds the prospect of the benefits of moving forward. Next is unclear pronouns. So if your copy has a bunch of unclear pronouns, your prospect will be confused. When writing copy, use more specific nouns and replace pronouns that make your sentiments vague. It might sound a little bit repetitive, but it'll help make things crystal clear. Don't be vague. We're left with a lot of questions after reading the bad example here. But in the better one, we're suddenly aware of the tutoring program, parents, the children, and the tutors. And suddenly, the copy is more clear and much more detailed. It hits home and isn't super vague and doesn't have any unclear pronouns. Next, murky positioning. So if your positioning is terrible, your copy won't get you very far. You need to make your copy goal-oriented and paint a clear picture of the transformation that you're going to deliver. Make sure that your prospect has a crystal clear idea of the promised land. So, and the bad example here, the copy fails to clearly state the overall positional advantage of the product. But in the better example, we're made aware of a group of people who prefer to avoid melatonin and tea, which is much more specific positioning and less murky. Next, not enough expertise. So if your copy sounds like you don't know what you're talking about, obviously your prospects won't trust you. Use more specific claims in your copy and incorporate more specific numbers. Avoid using phrasing that makes your claims sound wishy-washy. It's important to not only be credible, but sound like an expert in your copy. The bad example here doesn't go into much detail, whereas the better example is packed with more detailed benefits and demonstrates a more thorough understanding of the prospect's pains. And this is what you want. Next is cliche angle. So one of the worst copywriting mistakes is having a super cliche angle. Because if your messaging sounds like everyone else in the market, you're going to bore your prospects. You need to understand your market, and you need to create a unique mechanism that makes you stand out. If your message is similar to everyone else, it's weak. People are just going to assume that you're just like everyone else. So you need to find a strong angle that's unique to your offer and position yourself as a category of one. And a good copywriter will know how to do this. And yeah, so we've reached the end. I hope that was super helpful for you guys. And one last thing. So there's actually 25 more common copywriting mistakes that I didn't have time to cover in this presentation. But feel free to send me an email and I will personally send you the rest. My email is daniel@danieldone.net. Again, it is daniel@danieldone.net. And yeah, hope this was helpful, and I will